Beth Millarns, the numeracy coach, one of the numeracy coaches for Knox County. And we are putting together these videos to help you first graders with reviewing some of the skills that we've learned this year, like Unit 1, adding and subtracting. So today I'm just going to remind you some of the skills that we have learned, along with some of the vocabulary, and then we're going to work a problem together, and you'll see that we are printing out learning packets that are optional for you to practice your skills, and you're welcome to pick those up when you pick up your meals, and like I said, they're optional. So today we're going to start by talking a little bit about addition, and I know you guys know about addition. So adding is putting two things together, and if we look at our chart, you see that I have 3 dots and 2 dots, and when I put them together, I have 5 dots. And if I put them in a sentence form, then I am saying 5 plus 3 equals 8. All right, and then we learn how to count on. In first grade, we said that addition is putting two things together or two quantities together to find out how many in all. And how many in all would be the total. So if we want to add on or count on in this addition statement, then we would say we have 3, and then we count on 2 more, 4, 5. So we have 5 objects. Okay, so there's several ways that we've learned in this past year to count on. We've also used number paths by saying that we have 5 plus 3, 1, 2, 3, equals 8. So this is a number path. All right, and we've also used a tape diagram some this year in learning how to add and subtract. Here's a tape diagram where we say we have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we add on 3 more to get 8. And of course we have the number bond where we say 5 plus 3 is 8. So I know that you learned a lot of different strategies, and you may remember some strategies that your teacher also introduced you to that I have not shared on addition. Well, of course, you can use any strategies that help you get the answer to your question or your number sentence. All right, we're going to go to the next page. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about subtraction before we move on to modeling our problem. All right, so subtract means to take from or take apart, and a subtraction sentence is a sentence that one number is subtracted from the other number to get the sum. Okay, so one number is subtracted from another in a sentence with symbols and numbers. And of course we know that our symbols are the plus sign, the minus sign, and the equal sign. We know that when we've been talking about number sentences, that what is on one side of the equal sign has to equal the same thing on the other side. In addition, we have also been talking about the commutative property. So that if we said 5 plus 3 equals 8, we could also say 3 plus 5 equals 8, and we get the same quantity on this side. All right, more about subtraction. So we have subtraction sentences. Here's my subtraction sentence right here. 5 minus 3 equals 2. And I can do that by counting back to figure out my answer. Say that I have 5 children that are playing ball. 3 go home early. So you start with the number of children who leave. Okay, 3 go home early. We knew we had 5 children total, right? Or the sum is 5. I'm sorry, yes. The total is 5. So we have 3 children who go home, but we still have to get to 5 children because we had 5 children total. So we add on 3, 4, 5. So our answer is to count on to 5. And how many did we count on? We counted on 2 more. So we know that 3 plus 2 is 5. Or we have 5 children, 3 left, and we have 2 remaining children. So we can count on by adding on to another number to get 5, which is 3, 4, 5. All right, another thing that we can do is we can use a number tape, and it looks like this. And some of you guys may have already started using a number line, which is great. Okay, so with a number tape, I can start here. If my number is 7, I can start here and I can say 7 minus 4, and I can go backwards. So I can go 7 minus 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and get my answer 3. Of course, I can count on here too. I can say 4 plus 3, 1, 2, 3 is 7. Okay, I know you also probably worked on your number families where we said 7 minus 4 is 3, 7 minus 3 is 4, 4 plus 3 is 7, 3 plus 4 is 7. So we know that we can add and subtract using number families as well. All right, boys and girls. That's just kind of a brief summary of what we've been learning all along in the first unit. And now we are going to look at a word problem that will be similar to the word problem that you will be doing in that packet. Several word problems in that packet. All right, so before we do that, let's talk about subtracting to compare. If we say that there is fewer of something, then we have a lesser quantity or amount. If we say there are more, then we have a greater quantity or amount. So let me give you an example. Jim has 6 balloons. Susan has 3 balloons. Who has more balloons? Jim. Okay, so he has a greater quantity or more or a greater amount. All right, if I say Jim has 2 balloons and Susan has 1 balloon, and I ask you, who has fewer balloons? Well, that would be Susan, wouldn't it? Yeah, Susan, because she only had 1. So we can use subtraction to take apart, take away, or compare. And so that's what we're going to do, is a compare problem using subtraction. And I'm going to model my thinking as I go through this, okay? All right, so here's our problem. Okay, so remember, sometimes we do what's called 3 steps in reading math problems. So let's start by reading it together. Dan has 5 balloons. Paco has 7 balloons. How many more balloons does Paco have? Who has the fewest balloons? Wow, this is like a two-step problem. All right, so first of all, what are we talking about here? Balloons? Yes, we are talking about balloons. Dan has 5 balloons. Paco has 7 balloons. How many more balloons does Paco have? Did you notice I left out a word? I sure did. I should put in does right here. Okay. Who has the fewest balloons? All right, so we talk about what's the problem about, and it is about balloons. What do we need to find out? What is it we're trying to figure out? Well, there's 2 things we're trying to figure out. Tell me what you think one of them are. Right. How many more balloons does Paco have? Well, let's see. Dan has 5 and Paco has 7. And it says how many more? All right, so we're going to look right here on my paper, and we know that Dan has 5 and Paco has 7. All right, so what are some ways that we could figure this first part out? What strategies might you use to figure it out? Oh, yes, that's a great strategy. One would be draw a picture. Okay, so let's do that. All right, so Dan has how many balloons? Dan has 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Paco has how many balloons? 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What do we do now? We've drawn our picture, but what do we do? Well, let's read the question. The question says, how many more balloons does Paco have? Than Dan. All right, Dan has 5. So let's match up Paco's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what's left over? 2. That's right. So let's read the question again. How many more balloons does Paco have? He has 2 more balloons, and we can figure that out by drawing a picture. Yes, you're right. There are other strategies for figuring out this problem. We can use a tape diagram. All right, so let me draw a tape diagram. And please don't judge my drawing because I'm not very good at drawing. Okay, not a very good tape diagram. All right, so let's look at this. How would we use this tape diagram to answer the problem, how many more balloons does Paco have? All right, so we know that Dan has 5 and Paco has 7. Okay, so Paco, we can count back from 7. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Paco has 2 more balloons. So that was one way we could figure it out, is by counting back. All right, another way. Oh, yes, that's a great way too. We can use a number bond. All right, so how are we going to use this number bond? All right, so we could do it with an addition problem. Okay, so we could put 7 here for Paco, right? Okay, and Dan has 5, so we put it here. All right, so how many more do we need to make Paco 7? 2, that's correct. We need 2 more to make Paco 7. So we can also use a number bond to find the answer. So what's the answer? How many more balloons does Paco have? 2. That is correct. 2 more balloons than Dan. All right, so he has more, a greater number than Paco. Okay, so now, a greater number than Dan. Okay, now who has the fewest balloons? That's our next question. Remember that fewest means the least or the less quantity or amount. So how are we going to find this out? Let's think about that a minute. Everybody take a minute of quiet thinking time. How are we going to decide who has the fewest balloons? Okay, now what strategies might you use? Well, we could subtract using a number sentence, couldn't we? We could say 7 that Paco has minus 5 equals 2. Okay, very good. How else might we solve this problem? Oh, yes, we could use an addition sentence. We could say that Dan has 5, but we need something to equal 7. And 5 plus 2 is 7. Correct. We could also do the same thing that we have been doing before, and that is that we could also use a picture, or we could use a tape diagram, or we could use a number bond. But if we know our facts fluently, then we can just subtract, right? Yeah. So we should be practicing our addition and subtraction facts so that we can get faster at answering questions like this one, where we are comparing using subtraction. All right, boys and girls, so the learning packet is coming your way, and I hope you enjoy doing the math problems if you want to. And also included is a mystery number problem. And so it gives you some clues so you can figure out what is the mystery number. All right, have a great day, and we'll see you soon.